Hello my friends, my name is DC, and this week we're going to make some baked potato soup. Not just any baked potato soup, loaded baked potato soup. You know, it's been cold and rainy these last couple days, and it really got me thinking about what could I make that is yummy, that's tasty, that's super bad for you, but super amazingly good. And the only thing that could come to mind is loaded baked potato soup. You want to know how to make it for yourself so you too can stay nice and warm on these cold, rainy days? Just watch the rest of this video. The first thing we need to do for our baked potato soup recipe is to prepare our potatoes. The recipe calls for 3 large potatoes, but I didn't have 3 that I would consider large, so I went and found 3 mediums and 3 smalls, put them together and figured that was close enough, and it worked out perfectly for this recipe. When all things are said and done, you need about 3 cups of peeled and diced baking potatoes. I'm using russets here. They're the most common ones you can find in the grocery store that are labeled as for baking, and they work great. Now that we've got our potatoes peeled, we're going to slice those potatoes into 1/2-inch cubes. This is pretty simple, but you just have to be careful because you're dealing with a sharp knife and a pretty slippery potato. Start by slicing the potatoes in 1/2-inch thick slices, and then taking each slice and cutting it into about 1/2-inch strips, and then each strip into 1/2-inch cubes. Each piece doesn't have to be exactly the same size, just get them as close as you possibly can. That way when they bake all at about the same speed. Once we have all of our potatoes diced into 1/2-inch cubes, we're going to add them to a large bowl. And then to that bowl, we're going to add 1 teaspoon or 6 grams of kosher salt and 1 teaspoon or about 3 grams of fresh ground black pepper. We're also going to add about a tablespoon or 13 grams of extra virgin olive oil, or any olive oil that you may have in the cabinet will work perfectly fine. Then, once those are added to the bowl, we're going to take our hands and mix everything together until the potato cubes are well covered in both salt, pepper, and oil. Now, just spread your potatoes out on a foil-lined and oiled baking sheet and put them in a 350-degree oven for about 40 minutes, or until they're well cooked and they crush easily between your fingers. Now that our potatoes have been in the oven for about 30 minutes, we can start working on the rest of our soup. The first thing we want to add is 2/3 cup or 150 grams of unsalted butter to a heavy bottom pan over low heat. And then we need to stir that until it's completely melted. As soon as it's melted, we're going to add 2/3 cup or 85 grams of all-purpose flour and cook for about 2 minutes, stirring the entire time. Once our butter and flour mixture has cooked for about 2 minutes, we're going to pour in 7 cups or 1,650 milliliters of whole milk. The easiest way to measure this is to buy a 1/2 gallon of whole milk, measure out 1 cup, and pour the remainder into your pot. Then, using a whisk over medium heat, we're going to stir this continuously until it becomes nice and thick, right before it starts to boil. This is going to take a good 10 minutes, so if you're prepared for this, you don't have to stir the entire time, but stir it pretty frequently because you don't want any of this to stick to the bottom of your pan. Once you can start to see bubbles appearing in our soup mixture, we're ready to add the rest of our ingredients, starting off with the white parts of 4 green onions and our roasted potatoes, which by this time should be completely done after roasting in a 350-degree oven for about 40 minutes. Now we need to put away our whisk and get out a wooden spoon, and using that whisk, mash some of the potato pieces along the side of the pot. This will give you a better texture in the final soup. Don't mash them all, leave most of them in those little cubes, but a couple mashed pieces are going to taste really good. Just 2 more ingredients to add to our soup and we're 100% done. The next ingredient we're going to add is 1 cup or 240 grams of sour cream. We're just going to add that to the pot and stir it until it's well combined. Last but certainly not least, we're going to add 1 1/4 cup of freshly grated cheddar cheese. I like to grate my own. I think it tastes better, and I think it's also less expensive. And we don't get all of those fillers that come with cheese that you get in a bag. But if that's all you've got, that's perfectly fine. We're going to add 1 1/4 cups and then stir it until it's completely melted, and then your soup is done. All you need to do now is put it in a bowl and tear it up. There's just a couple more ingredients we want to add to our baked potato soup to drive home that feeling of a loaded baked potato. First of all, the tops of our green onions, let's add a couple of those, as well as a little bit of that leftover shredded cheddar cheese. And then I took about 2 strips of bacon, cut it up into squares, and rendered it until it was nice and crispy. We're going to add a little bit of that on top to drive home that bacon flavor that we expect in a loaded baked potato. After that, there's nothing else to do except for get yourself a big spoon and just eat this stuff while you're looking out the window, laughing at the cold weather outside, knowing that you are nice and warm inside. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for all of your support on the channel. If you like this video, please remember to hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos just like this, please remember to hit the subscribe button as well. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.